So when we say the mind must be still, the mind must be quiet, it's true, and it's a problematic teaching as well. The mind on the level of the level of the body mind world, on the level of our everyday lives, the mind has an important function. Thinking. Thinking is the functioning of the mind, in the way we use the word mind. The mind is essentially thinking. That's how we define the mind. That's what I mean by when I say mind. So if the mind is basically thoughts, then its function is thinking. And a part of this is practical functioning. And that's fine. Planning what you're going to eat, planning what you're going to do, maybe anticipating things that may happen in certain circumstances in your life, no problem. And then there's also another aspect of the mind where the mind is also creative. There's a creativity to the mind, which is a natural function of the mind. It will start imagining things, thinking about things, not because you are trying to solve a problem, but it will naturally start creating things, imagining things, putting things together. Again, this is a wonderful functional aspect of our mind. It's a creative function of our mind. It's really useful. It's a part of, we could say, the human intelligence, the intelligence of the human being. It will start to find creative solutions and creative outputs, even if you don't need to particularly do anything. You might live in your small, idyllic village. You might have all your needs met. And the mind might say, oh, I wonder what's beyond the village. I wonder what lies east of the village, where I have never ventured before. And it will start thinking about things, and it'll make you climb up to the hill and look beyond where you've got everything you need in the village. Yeah, you're happy. But the mind will maybe think of something else. There's no problem with this kind of stuff. Now, the issue is ignorance. Ignorance is what creates suffering. Sarah, what is ignorance?
Illusion.
Illusion, yes. Do you know how I usually talk about it? Or how do I define it often? Do you know?
Suffering.
It is, actually. It is. Ignorance is suffering. But there's a cause of suffering, a root cause, which is a particular type of thought. Or a particular thought or idea.
The body-mind concept.
Yes. So that's what ignorance is. Ignorance is the idea, I am the body-mind. I am a finite entity. And this root ignorance creates all of our problematic thinking. When this root ignorance is gone, all that's left with is natural functioning of the thinking mind, in which there's no problem. The body mind will still act and live, just like if you look at another animal, they will have a body and a mind, and their body mind will act, and that's fine. So we have this ignorance that pollutes our thought process. It pervades our thought process. It's the I am the body mind idea. Now, the truth is you're not the body mind. That you're not that limited entity. You're beyond that. So the teachings are to remove that pollution. The problem with this pollutant, this ignorance, is that it's like a drop of ink in a beaker of water. Or we could even say a drop of ink in a vat of water. A huge expanse of water. You put one drop of ink in it, and the ink goes everywhere and pervades and pollutes the entire body of water. So all our thinking is tainted with this I am the body mind. And you can imagine it's easy for that drop of water to go in. It's easy for that drop of ink to go into the water. Just one drop is gone in. But to reverse that process, it's not so easy. You have to take some drastic measures. You've got to trawl through that whole thing, seemingly, just to get that impurity out. And that is the disease of the mind. The dis-ease. I hate saying dis-ease instead of disease. It sounds so corny. That's the dis-ease of the mind, the suffering of the mind. I'm the body-mind idea. We call that ignorance. It's also called the ego. It seems to be a person, an ego. It seems to be a character. And this ego, for most people, doesn't want to end. This ego is like this own, like a virus in a computer. It doesn't want to end. It's been programmed to keep itself alive because it thinks it is real. It's not. It's just like a computer virus, a software virus. It's not important. In fact, it's damaging the system. But it thinks it's real and it thinks it's important. So when you start to quieten it down, it starts to blurt out all these thoughts, push out all these thoughts that says, you need me, I'm really important, don't do this, danger, danger. And it tries to get you involved with the world of duality. It tries to get you to forget you are that, you are the supreme, you are divine. So that's the long answer, I guess. The short answer is the cause for thinking is ignorance. When the ignorance is gone, it's like all thoughts have gone. Because all thoughts that remain, it's not all thoughts have gone, thoughts can still remain. But the thoughts are like the furniture, or like other things around you, like the birds and the clouds. It doesn't feel like I'm thinking. It's just natural functioning. When our ego is gone, it's like everything's gone. The me has totally gone. It's like death. It's a death. But look, this is theory. Unless you know what I'm talking about firsthand, it's theory. So the challenge really is, okay, you've heard what I've had to say now. You may think, okay, that's interesting. You may agree, you may disagree. But the real thing is find out. Find out for yourself. Is this true? Is this true for you? Allow yourself to become peaceful and still. We don't have to get rid of all the thoughts at once. Just let them become calmer. Your mind will start to naturally turn inward towards beingness, towards yourself, towards what you are. And when you become still, you're abiding as pure consciousness. You're no longer the body-mind. When you're thinking, probably, if you're ignorant, or if ignorance is in you, you are thinking you're the body-mind. But when that process becomes still, then the concept I'm the body-mind no longer has anywhere to function, because the mind is not moving. Ignorance can only occur in thought. Ignorance is the thought, I'm the body-mind, and the whole energy and vasana that goes with that. The momentum of that process. But when the mind becomes still and you stay awake, it can be seen, not by the mind, but is revealed that you are not the mind. You're beyond the mind. And slowly this ignorance, or maybe quickly, this ignorance starts to be removed. This knowledge, I am the body-mind, which is ignorance, which seems so obvious and true, suddenly becomes uncertain and doubted. Suddenly you start to doubt that. And then that seed of doubt grows. And that seed of doubt in ignorance, seed of doubt, am I the body-mind really? That grows. And that's actually that seed of doubt is actually the seed of knowledge. And grows and ripens into the fruit of knowledge. Most of the thinking is about, I'm the body-mind. So when the ignorance is gone, most of the thinking is gone. And the thinking that remains is not really like thinking, as you would think of it if you're ignorant. It's got a totally different quality to it. It's like a background process. But because this ignorance is there, we have to become really still to see through it. It takes drastic measure to get rid of the ignorance once it's there.